Welcome back to Bourbon Hunter, the channel where we chase great bottles, break down bourbon myths, and occasionally make some questionable life choices, all in the name of whiskey research. Here, we're diving into the stories behind the bottles, the trends shaking up the bourbon world, and the pours that'll make you say, yep, that's going on the top shelf. So grab a glass, settle in, and let's hunt some flavor, because around here, the bourbon's bold, the jokes are bad, and the hunt is always on. In the world of bourbon, rarity is currency. A single bottle can spark bidding wars, break friendships, or send collectors halfway across the country. But in 2021, something far darker slipped in the bourbon boom, something even Buffalo Trace never saw coming. Scammers realized they didn't need to counterfeit the bourbon, they only had to counterfeit the hope. The promise of a unicorn bottle delivered with a click. Customers paid, they waited, and one after another, they got nothing. Then came the warning, a message from the Buffalo Trace themselves. We're seeing an alarming rise in counterfeit bourbon scams across the United States. This wasn't rumor. This wasn't online panic. This was the distillery stepping in to tell the truth. Tonight, we break down what really happened, how the scams worked, how thousands of bourbon fans got duped, and how you can protect yourself from the fastest growing threat in the whiskey world. In September 2021, Buffalo Trace Distillery, one of America's oldest and most respected bourbon houses, issued a public warning to bourbon fans across the country. What seemed like harmless online offers turned into something darker, a rising tide of scams targeting bourbon lovers, especially those chasing rare and sought-after bottles. According to the distillery, multiple consumers reported ordering premium whiskey online. They paid, they waited, but many never received a drop. Some got nothing at all. Others received empty bottles, or even worse, counterfeit bottles. These scams seem to zero in on Buffalo Trace's more elite labels, particularly Blanton's and Double Eagle Very Rare. Those chasing elusive bottles saw offers online that looked tempting, but behind the screen, fraudsters lay in wait. The scam artists used slick websites, social media ads, claiming they could ship rare bourbon directly to your door. That's often illegal, because in most U.S. states, direct-to-consumer shipment of spirits is prohibited. Yet, many of these fake sellers didn't care about the law. They processed payment, accepted shipping addresses, sometimes even overseas, and then vanished. In some cases, they sent empty bottles sealed with cheap plastic toppers, not the metal caps used on real Buffalo Trace bottles. For unsuspecting buyers, the experience ranged from disappointing to infuriating. A purchase meant to be prized collectible turned into a painful lesson. This isn't just about scammers trying to make a quick buck. It's about trust, the trust of collectors, the integrity of rare bourbon culture, and the reliability of secondary markets that treat bottles like prized artifacts. When someone buys what they believe is a rare bottle, they're not just paying for bourbon. They're buying history, value, and status. A counterfeit or empty shell isn't just fraud, it's betrayal. For many, the 2021 warning was a wake-up call. The bourbon boom had attracted more than just enthusiasts. It had drawn predators. Buffalo Trace didn't stay silent. They took action. Issuing that public warning, reminding fans that the distillery does not sell its whiskey online, and urging people to verify any seller carefully before trusting them. They also worked to shut down fraudulent websites and asked social media platforms to remove scam advertising. Yet, despite those efforts, the problem endured. The warning, as one spokesperson put it, echoed an old adage: if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. They also pursued legal action against suspicious websites and notified social media platforms to shut down fraudulent ads, though the problem has continued. If you're hunting rare bourbon online, proceed with extreme caution. Don't trust flashy ads or sellers offering to ship bourbon directly to your door. Always verify legality, seller reputation, and authenticity. Because in the world of rare bourbon, when a deal seems too good to be true, it often is. And the only way to protect yourself is to stay vigilant. As demand for rare bourbon has skyrocketed, especially among collectors and enthusiasts chasing legendary bottles, a new problem has emerged: the secondary market. Once a niche hobby, now a booming online trade, has created fertile ground for fraudsters. What was once a trusted exchange of bottles and knowledge has become a playground for scammers, preying on those eager to claim the next prized release. Add to that a patchwork of alcohol distribution laws across the United States. In many states, direct to consumer shipment of spirits is restricted or illegal. That legal complexity makes it difficult for buyers to verify legitimacy when purchasing online. For scammers, these conditions are ideal: high demand, limited supply, and regulatory loopholes that make it easier to sell fakes or empty bottles to unsuspecting buyers. For collectors, it's a cautionary tale, one that underscores the importance of vigilance, research, and buying only from verified sources. When the stakes are high and the bottles are rare, scammers thrive. But for collectors and enthusiasts, there are ways to protect yourself. First, examine the bottle itself. Authentic bottles have distinct weight, embossed logos, and precise glass craftsmanship. A counterfeit might feel lighter, have missing embossing, or inconsistent glass quality. Next, inspect the closure. Many high-end bottles use branded corks or metal caps. If the top is cheap or poorly fitted, that's a red flag. Check the label. Printing errors, typos, misaligned text, or blurry graphics are all signs of a fake. Real bottles have a crisp, precise, and consistent labels. The liquid itself can give clues. Genuine bourbon has a consistent amber hue, appropriate to its age and mash bill. Unusual color, cloudiness, or sediment might indicate a counterfeit or refilled bottle. And finally, consider provenance. Only buy from licensed retailers or verified sources. Avoid flashy online ads that promise rare bottles shipped directly to any state, especially where alcohol shipment is restricted. And remember, if the deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. So before you click buy or drop hundreds or even thousands on a rare bottle, take a moment. Look, feel, verify. In the world of rare bourbon, vigilance is the difference between treasure and disappointment. The impact of counterfeit bourbon reaches far beyond a single lost bottle or a scammed buyer. It threatens the very reputation of the brands themselves. It erodes the trust of buyers who invest their time, money, and passion into acquiring these rare spirits. It strikes the hearts of collectors, investments, sometimes worth tens of thousands of dollars. But perhaps the greatest loss is cultural. Counterfeit bottles are more than just fraud. They deal a blow to the tradition and community of bourbon collecting itself. For the newcomers, someone chasing a legendary bottle for the first time, being duped should shatter the magic. It could destroy their love for bourbon before it's even fully formed. This isn't just about money, it's about trust, passion, and preserving the integrity of a culture that treasures history, craftsmanship, and the shared joy of a good bourbon. The story of the 2021 Buffalo Trace warning is more than a tale of empty bottles and online scams. It's a cautionary tale for collectors, enthusiasts, and anyone who cherishes the craft of bourbon. It reminds us that vigilance is key, that trust must be earned, not assumed, and that knowledge is the best defense against fraud. Above all, it underscores what's at stake: the reputation of beloved brands, the trust of buyers, the integrity of collectors' investments, and the culture of bourbon itself. For those new to the world of rare bourbon, it's a lesson in caution, but also in the enduring beauty of the spirit. Because when you sip a truly authentic bottle, you're not just tasting bourbon, you're tasting history, craftsmanship, and the shared passion of a community that refuses to be fooled. And that's another pour down. If you enjoyed hanging out in the hunt today, don't leave me standing here like an empty bottle on a Sunday morning. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment about what I should track down next. Remember, bourbon may age gracefully, but my YouTube channel only grows if you feed it. I'll see you in the next hunt. Cheers, bourbon hunters.